Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Today it is the 18th of April, 2022, and we have a weekend full of Nationals baseball to talk about. The Nationals dropped 3 of 4 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates this weekend on the road in Pittsburgh. We'll have a full breakdown of how it went down and then look ahead in the Nationals schedule to see what they have on tap this week. We think they'll play the first game of their series against the Diamondbacks tonight. If you're on the East Coast, you know that there is some weather right now in some parts of the East Coast, so we'll see if the Nationals do in fact get that series underway, but we'll have a preview of that as well. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline and BetOnline.net. You guys can go to BetOnline today. When you do, you guys will find the best collection of odds, news, scores, all those kinds of things. So BetOnline and BetOnline.net. All right, let's get to it. A weekend full of Nationals baseball to break down as the Nationals are now 11 games in to their 2022 campaign.
Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, once again, everybody, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. You all can find me at Josh Neighbors _. You guys can find the show wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. All right, so let's get to it. Usually what we do on these, and I'll finally do these now that we're 10 games in, is I'll set the scene for where the Nationals are in the division right now. So the Nationals at this moment in time are 4-7, 4 wins, 7 losses. They have lost back-to-back games. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They have a minus 16 run differential, and they are currently last place in the National League East. The Phillies are 4-6. The Marlins are 4-5. The Braves are 5-6, and the New York Mets are 7-3. And they have a 2.5 game lead in the division already on the Atlanta Braves. They have a 3.5 game lead right now on the Washington Nationals. The Nationals this weekend, they play the Pittsburgh Pirates, who got themselves to 5-4. So congrats to the Pirates. And so the Nationals lost 3 of 4. We'll go in reverse order as we normally do to break down these games. And note there were some encouraging signs, despite the fact the Nationals did lose 3 of 4. But once again, this season is not about contending or competing. I was actually doing an interview the other day. Was on a podcast, and a Nationals fan asked me, said, "Hey, if the Nationals are in the hunt or around, still pretty good near the deadline, will they make a move?" And the answer is probably not. Right? This is a team that right now is just trying to find what works for them and what they can take into seasons moving forward that works, once they want to contend again. But the good news yesterday, have to say, Patrick Corbin, 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks, 92 pitches against the Pirates. It was a 5-3 win for Pittsburgh. The Nationals went up 3-0 in the second inning and did not score after that. But the good news was Patrick Corbin was not always in control, the 3 walks as well, but he gave the Nationals a chance to win. And that is something that's very important that we feel like Patrick Corbin has not necessarily been doing as of late. His first start of the year against the Mets was 4 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks. And that one was 76 pitches. So really not a large sample size, but 4 innings, 2 runs. It's not awful. It's not great. The second start of the year for Patrick Corbin, that was a disaster. 2 2/3, 9 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 83 pitches in a 16-4 loss against the Atlanta Braves. You go back to this 5-3 game for the Nationals. Look, when he left the game, the Nationals, they were in a spot where they were winning, and then Aranyo clears out the inning, and they go to the sixth with a lead. So you can't be too upset about that performance, I'd have to say, but it needs to be more consistent, right? This needs to be something that he does more often, and then also by extension takes this kind of performance deeper into games. That is where they have to be. Now, the one thing that's interesting on the Pittsburgh side, we did see former Nationals pitcher Will Crowe this weekend, 2 2/3, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk and a K. And he has been coming out of the Pirates bullpen and has done pretty well for himself so far this year. He's worked 9 2/3 innings. He's surrendered 3 hits. He's walked 4. He struck out 10, and no runs allowed for Will Crowe at this time. You'll remember Will Crowe was involved in the trade where the Nationals acquired Josh Bell. So if Will Crowe does well, good for him. I still love the fact the Nationals got Josh Bell in that trade. Where the Nationals run into trouble in this game? Well, Steve Cishek really did struggle there in that 7th inning. That's when the Pirates were able to grab that lead in the 7th. It was a wild pitch that allowed someone to score, and then a single as well. And then Doolittle came in and he got a fielder's choice, which scored a run, but really no, he got a ground ball. So it was not a big deal. Doolittle, you're not gonna really fault him for giving up. That run goes to Cishek. And Andres Machado closed out the game. Yeah, I mean, the big problem here is the Nationals, no sustained offense in this game. They get 8 hits, score 3 runs. Maikel Franco commits 3 errors in this game, which were costly errors as well. And so as nice as a success has been for him at the dish so far, Franco hitting 275 on the year, the 3 errors, man, I mean, that's an absolutely abysmal game for Franco, and that's just something that can't happen. And this is why we've talked about Carter Kieboom when he comes back. Look, no matter how well Maikel Franco plays, unless he's at playing some ridiculous all-star level, it needs to be Carter Kieboom who gets the reins to third base. There can be no conversation about that. So a 5-3 loss in the final game yesterday in a game the Nationals really could have held on in, but didn't. We'll get to the rest of the games here in 1 second, but first, a quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Bet Online. You guys can find all the odds that you'll want for anything. They've got baseball, basketball, football, USFL going on right now, NFL draft odds, college football futures, NASCAR, F1. I'm sure they got Xfinity series on there as well. UFC, boxing, both had events this weekend. Bellator MMA had an event this weekend. You can bet on all of that stuff at BetOnline and BetOnline.net. They've got playoffs, esports, and more. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, the kind of one of the middle games of this series, a 6-4 loss for the Nationals in this one. In another case where the offense didn't really show up for much of the game. They scored 1 in the 2nd, they scored 1 in the 5th, and 2 in the 9th to try to push things, but really nothing happened there towards the end. They were 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, which is not the worst thing in the world. That was in the Sunday game. 2 for 11 here. Cruz was 0 for 1. Escobar was actually 1 for 2. Hernandez 0 for 2. Bell 1 for 1. No shock. Robles 0 for 2. Ruiz 0 for 3. They left 11 men on base in this game. Josh Rogers, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Not a great start, but for Josh Rogers, it feels like there's no blow-ups, right? It wasn't a complete and total blow-up in 76 pitches for Josh Rogers, and Steve Cishek, I thought, showed up in the second game of this series. Aranyo worked a clean inning. Kyle Finnegan, who's gotten touched up some this year so far, comes in and he got touched up as well. I'm actually not, you guys know me, I'm a Kyle Finnegan guy. I'm actually not too concerned about Kyle Finnegan, but this was a game where Juan Soto homers in this game to make it 2-2. And then Chavis singles to right in the fifth to make it 3-2. In the eighth, that was where the game was close, but then you get a Castillo single, a fielder's choice with an error that ends up scoring two more runs as well. Josh Bell drove in a run in the ninth, as did Ruiz, K-Barrett Ruiz. So that made it 6-4, but the Nationals would score no more and came up short. And that's what you're noticing across the weekend. These offensive numbers, 4, 7, 4, and 3. I mean, just for a team that's pitching is not very good, the offensive output is not there for them right now across the board. That bottom part of the lineup, man, is really struggle, whether it's Lane Thomas, Alcides Escobar, Victor Robles. I mean, these are guys who are just not pulling their weight right now at the bottom of the lineup. K-Barrett Ruiz has been cold since his very hot beginning, and you saw that across the board. Now, the second game of the series, that was a little bit of a different story in this game. Erick Fedde gave them 5 very strong innings, I thought. 4 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks on 96 pitches. So he's off to a good start this year. He's 1-0 now on the season. He's got a 3.60 ERA. Doolittle was strong. Voth actually worked a pair of clean innings, and Paulo Espino worked a clean inning as well in the end in terms of run score. That's usually what I mean when I say clean innings. 5 for 14 with runners in scoring position, so a lot better in this game. This was Nelson Cruz's probably best game as a Nationals so far. Goes 2 for 4, drives in 3 runs. Josh Bell, another 2 for 4, drives in 3 runs. This guy is just hitting at an insane clip. Soto, really good game, 2 for 3 in this one. And 2 hits also for Cesar Hernandez. But you're going to see the cutoff here. 2 hits for the first hitter, 2 hits for your 2-hole hitter, 2 hits for your third hitter, 2 hits for your 4 spot hitter. So 8 hits from the first 4 guys in the lineup. Back end only gets you 2. Yadiel Hernandez, 1 for 3, and Lane Thomas, 1 for 4. But Escobar, 0 for, Franco, 0 for, Robles does not get a hit, Ruiz does not get a hit either. They are not hitting 1 through 9. That, in the front part of the offense, luckily for them, those guys showed up in this second game of the series to make things happen. So, that's just an overview of what happened. Let's get back to Erick Fedde real quickly. Dave Martinez was talking about how this is like what they need from him. They need this and kind of extending it out. And I mentioned that with Patrick Corbin too. Like this is time for Fedde to begin to continue this kind of pitching right now. 29 years old. This is kind of it for him, right? With the Nationals. I'm going to check Spot Track, but I believe for him, this is the last. They're coming down to last year of arbitration for Fedde, double checking on these things. Oh, again, 2 more years of arbitration. Yeah. So until 25. If you forget, he didn't make it to the majors till a little bit later. So they got him under control for a while. But in terms of a player, like when do we see it from Erick Fedde? This is the year. Because the guy's been around, he's been around for a bit now. And he's 29 years old, and he's about to hit what I consider to be his pitching prime. And so I think it's really important for him. If he wants a job, I think he'd get a job somewhere else. I think if Erick Fedde, wanted to pitch somewhere else, he'd get an opportunity too. But this is his now 6th year in the majors. He's kind of had a spotty amount. I mean, 15 innings in 17, 50 in a third and 18. So this is a guy at 29 years old, still like relatively young as a pitcher, but about to hit that prime. And these are starts that are quality. In my opinion, they're very good starts. They're putting the Nationals in position to win games. The Nationals have won both games that he has started in so far this season. So encouraging signs from Erick Fedde. Let's see if we can extend him out. You think about that Arizona start he had last year where he was just brilliant across the board. They need to get that back. They need that Erick Fedde, at least part of him as they move forward. And then we get to the first game of the series, which this one did not go particularly well for the Nationals either. They got off to a really nice start, and we've been saying this a lot. The Nationals offense will jump on teams. That first inning, They scored 3 runs and honestly could have scored more. I think they still had the bases loaded with an out. But Ruiz singles to deep center, Yadiel Hernandez singles to right. And so they got to a point where it's all right, you're in a good spot. But by the third inning, that lead was gone and they were down 5-3. And so the pitching's got to be better, but also their offense needs to sustain itself more. You score 3 in the first, 1 in the fifth, and you're not to be heard from the rest of the way. 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. And, there's a big difference between 4 for 15 and 5 for 14 and 3 for 11, right? I mean, those are, 2 big hits with runners in scoring position mean more runs. It means closer games. The Nationals have to do that more. And Adon got absolutely crushed in this game. 4 2/3, 6 hits, 6 runs, 9 hits, all earned, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 2 home runs surrendered. Patrick Murphy and Andres Machado weren't much better. Arano and Hunter Harvey did get guys out a little bit, so that there's some encouraging signs. But in a game where they kind of got to JT Brubaker, this was not a performance, all the way through where you're happy with the Nationals offense. It kind of just stopped once Brubaker left the game. They're not able to get much more offense. Banda gets them out. Contreras and Fletcher get them out as well. And so, yeah, this is kind of the big spot. And look, the thing that the Pirates did better was they put themselves in more position to score runs this weekend. 4 for 16 in this game. Once again, not excellent, but you're just giving yourself so many opportunities to drive in runs and then also capitalizing on that as well. But you got to look across the board, even though that 9-4 loss. What is going well for the Nats right now? What is happening for them that we're liking to see? I think Cesar Hernandez has been pretty average, to be honest, and I think that's kind of what you pay for. Nelson Cruz hasn't been great, but Josh Bell just has continued to hit so well. 40 ABs so far, 14 hits. He's hitting .350 with a .469 on base right now. He's driven in 10 runs, and he's hit 2 home runs as well. So he's kind of giving you that complete package right now as Josh Bell. 273 against lefties and 379 against righties. 273 is nothing to scoff at. Actually, you take that Josh Bell generally, as a general performance, you would take that. But Josh Bell is 379 against the righties, which have been a predominant amount of the guys that he's seen. He's 11 for 29 with 8 runs driven in and 2 homers against right-handed pitching. That's what we call wearing people out. So that's going well. I think Juan Soto's numbers will continue to improve. Nelson Cruz to me is the guy in the front part of the lineup. They have to get going. I wouldn't be shocked if the back part of the lineup doesn't keep doing well. I think somebody's going to have to emerge eventually, but there's just not a lot of good guys in the back of that lineup. I know I mentioned earlier in the year that, look, it doesn't take a whole lot for this offense to be that good. They got to have some guys, if some guys played at an average major league level, hitting wise in the back and fielding wise of Michael Franco, the Nats would be their offense would be much better. I actually wouldn't be complaining too much about their offense going quiet. Now the front part is guilty of it too, but they just need some guys to be average in the back. They just need Alcides Escobar to be average a couple more games. Robles, good God, finally snapped his streak, but they just need him to be below average, a little bit below average. He's downright awful at the plate right now. So they've got to figure that out in the back of their lineup. One more quick word from our sponsors, and we'll take a look at what's coming up for the Nationals. Today's show is brought to you by Built Bar. Go to Built.com today. That's Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com today. Plenty of flavors. If you like chocolate, I guarantee this is the protein bar for you. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. They've got mint brownie, coconut almond, just to name a few of those flavors. Once again, go to Built.com today. That's Built.com, promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com today. All right, what's coming up for the Nationals? Good news. They've got the Diamondbacks. We hope it's good news. The Diamondbacks are coming to Nationals Park for a 4-game series. That's good news. The bad news, you're getting San Francisco after that. But the Nationals are now beginning what is a 10-game homestand. They'll be home from April 18th all the way through April 28th before they hit the road for a West Coast swing that will take them away for 9 games. So 4 games coming up. The good news is we've got 4 starters like penciled in. We know who's going to be starting the next 4 games to Nationals. It'll be Gray versus Bumgarner, Adone versus Kelly, Fedde versus Davies, and Rogers versus Gallen. All of these games, except for the final one, 7:05. So 7:05 Monday, 7:05 Tuesday, 7:05 Wednesday, and then 4:05 on Thursday. So that's what we're looking at with these games. We'll preview the San Francisco series as that comes up later this week. So bad news, the Nationals lost 3 this weekend. The good news, Arizona's coming to town. The good news, Josh Bell's hitting well. And the good news, Erick Fedde, man, really solid. The good news, Patrick Corbin, pretty solid too. But the losses are starting to pile up just a little bit here early on in the season. We'll see if the Nationals can stop the bleeding against the D-backs. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. You guys can follow me at JoshNeighbors_. You guys can find the show wherever you guys find your podcast and on YouTube as well. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.